So just welcome failure and look forward to them because if something didn't work, it didn't work for a reason. It was not meant for you. So don't be discouraged by something not working out. And last thing is like failure is literally only when you quit. That's the overarching message.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is Victor Catrina, the owner of Pivotal Media. He runs a YouTube automation channel. These are YouTube channels that run without showing his face or creating any videos himself, and runs a successful coaching company from that venture as well. Thank you so much, Victor. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
Absolutely. We always like to ask our entrepreneurs, what were you doing before and how did that kind of lead you into what you're doing today?
Great question. It's been a little bit of a journey for me. I've come a long way and I've learned a lot of lessons, of course. I think I mentioned before, I've gone through the weeds to get to the winning business, that one business that really struck gold for me. So if I wanted to tell you really the journey, but not go too crazy, just the more important stuff, which is my first business. My first business started when I was 13. That ironically is doing the exact same thing I do now with a little bit of tweaks, but it's YouTube. So I started my first YouTube channel at the age of 13, which is crazy. I'm also the first entrepreneur in the family. So there always has been a lot of resistance in terms of me trying to branch out and do something untraditional. But I was doing the faceless automation stuff, faceless channels, but it wasn't automation. It was just me too scared to show my face. So I was just recording the screen and talking. And I was really nerdy. And I think I still am very nerdy to this day. But I was doing stuff more along the lines of like graphic design animations. So I picked up that skill set. I got really good at it. People found me on the internet and started paying me to create them like animations for their videos, banners, and just all these different graphics. And I got my parents to make me a PayPal account under their name and started collecting cash. And by the time I was 17, I bought myself a freaking supercomputer, at least for that age and that time. And it was great. I really felt like I had created a new identity. I found a new identity through YouTube, and it was fantastic. And unfortunately, through a series of one big event, which was just having my channel terminated, I don't know what happened. I really wish I could go back to that time and figure out what happened, but it got terminated. It was taken away from me, which is really sad because again, I had a large part of my identity tied up into it. But I guess I just had to move on. So from there, obviously, I had the entrepreneur itch and I had to just keep going. So I tried all these different hustles, buying and selling things. I got into every MLM I could find, get my hands on. I love MLMs, but everyone has their own opinions. I have mine too, but they're a great stepping stone. And so from there, tried again, literally everything. I bought vending machines, I bought ATMs, I got into drop shipping, I did Amazon, everything I possibly could. And everything failed miserably. And it was kind of tough because having all that resistance already being there from my external environment and also just getting my ego knocked down one after another, it was really tough. But each one, you learn a lot about yourself and you build a different level of resilience. And I really think that, again, all these have been just the stepping stones, the pillars that have led up to building me where I am and allowed me to actually be successful in the business that I have today. But yeah, so fast forward, I kept going to these businesses. Nothing worked out really. My parents were like, okay, you know what? We support you, yet we still want you to go down this path. So please go to school, get a degree, something. So I did. I caved in just to make them happy. I went in, I got a criminal justice degree. I couldn't fathom the idea of spending 4 years in school. So I had to choose a school that had an accelerated program. So I ended up doing it in half the time, which was great. But at the same time, I was also challenged even further because at the time, training for a bodybuilding show, I was working a part-time job and in an extremely toxic relationship of 6 years, way too long. And so it was a lot of challenges, a lot of tribulation, further building resilience and just really stacking on everything character-wise. Got through that. And then I said, okay, thank you for this piece of paper. I don't even know where that piece of paper is nowadays, but I got the confirmation. And then I was like, okay, thank you. I hope you're happy. I need to go back, pursue my passions. One other big reason I had to do this entrepreneur stuff is because I genuinely suck at being an employee. It's by least the worst skills that I have. I say that trying to just as genuine as possible. Not that I have a problem with authority. I have two main fears. I've talked about this before. I have two main fears. My one biggest fear is not living up to my highest potential. And my second fear is building someone else's dream. So those two fears don't really coincide with having a 9 to 5 relatively. So that's why I had to do something else. And I knew that when I was doing something for myself or building something and I was able to be in a place of influence and leadership, I was always doing really well. That's where I shined. And so it just made sense to naturally gravitate to whatever my strengths were via entrepreneurship. So anyway, I kept trying, failure after failure. I probably failed 8 different businesses. The amount of money that I sunk into all these time, energy, effort, nothing worked out. Then finally, I had my first breakthrough. It was a marketing agency that I started, and it wasn't really a breakthrough at first. It sucked ass for a while. So it's terrible. And I just kept losing. Then I finally won a few clients, more clients, built a name for myself, racked up around got to around $30,000 a month in revenue. So my life felt like it was on its upswing, which is fantastic. But then something happened, which it affected me and it affected the rest of the world as well, which was COVID. So COVID did what it does best, and it tore my entire business apart because I only had local clients at the time. And all those local clients shut down, and I was the first to go. They don't need a marketing department when they can't run their ship. And I lost literally all my income overnight within that first month of it happening. And that was kind of a place where I had to obviously figure out which direction do I go. So reflecting back on my situation, okay, I had all this money coming in, but how did I feel about it? And what was my life actually like? And if I was being very honest with myself, I hated everything about it. So yes, the money was coming in, but there was very conditional. These clients were not clients, they were bosses. I was at the beck and calling of every single client. Do this, do that, show up here. I really had no control over my business. I was the one being controlled. It was the golden handcuffs. So great money, but just awful everything. My mental health was really low. My physical health was really low. My relationships were suffering. So all this money was coming in and seemingly it all looked great on the outside, but on the inside, it was horrible. So then I had to make a decision. Do I pick this thing back up and maybe try and shift direction and do things differently? Or do I just shift directions? In the same month where I lost all my clients, I got an email from Google or YouTube. They reinstated my account that they terminated almost a decade ago. So super random out of nowhere. So I felt like, okay, there's someone telling me where I should point my direction. And so by divine intervention, I got that sign and I was like, you know what, screw this agency. I dissolved the company and moved on to YouTube. So that was kind of my divine kind of redirect. And so it just made sense because I had such a huge passion for YouTube when I first started. I loved being a YouTuber. I loved everything about it. And it was just kind of ripped away from me. And maybe it was a timing thing. And everything, again, built up to where I am now. So from there, I knew about this YouTube automation model, but I had no time on my hands to try and figure that out at the time. But now I did. And I had a little piggy bank stashed away from the previous business. I still didn't figure it out right away. It still took so much resistance and friction and failure. I literally spent an entire year, almost $30,000 in savings to figure this thing out. So it was brutal. I just couldn't crack the code. Finally, the first channel took off, then the second, then the third. And I really felt like I can get a grip on understanding this algorithm, how it actually works, and what do I have to deliver. And what I was doing wrong was so blatantly obvious now in retrospect. So that I started seeing that success. And of course, people around you are starting to notice, and friends and family like teach me, okay, sure. And so one by one, I taught them, they started seeing success, which is amazing. It wasn't just me. And I felt like I had something that was replicable, which is amazing. Then again, more people kind of started coming towards me. And I said, okay, I need to systemize this because I need to focus on my venture and not just teaching everyone, especially I'm not being compensated for it. So I just need to focus on my own thing. But I'll find a middle ground. So I started creating some videos and I just posted those on YouTube just for the sake of convenience. Those videos blew up, like they went crazy out of nowhere. Then I was like, there's maybe another redirect happening here, like another sign, because these things don't just go crazy like that. And so I thought like, okay, that's another direction I should maybe look into is just how can I actually expand my knowledge, this IP that I've built, all the resistance that I went through and all the earnings or learnings that I have had. How can I actually systemize this and just expand that reach and just help more people? It's not just about me. And so I doubled down on content and just started posting more. I built a little mini community, which turned out to be a huge community eventually. And then from there, they're like, we love your free content. There's so much here and you're always eager to help and et cetera. But you need to systemize that too, because you can't just go and message hundreds of people at a time. You have a life. Go build something that's really comprehensive and then see if you can help us that way. So then I was kind of inclined and literally pushed to build a course. Like there was a lot of demand for that. And then I said, okay, launch my course. That was wildly successful, to be honest. I'd never sold a digital product. So my first one launching, it was amazing numbers wise. And it was just crazy to see that I could build this thing. And it wasn't just something that, again, it was there to make money. I really felt inclined and pushed towards that. And not only did I build something that was amazing financially for me, but it was actually something that was helping so many different people. Like I had testimony after testimony coming in. And so I knew that it was always the byproduct, right? It wasn't just the service, it was the byproduct of the service that was really the value. And from there, again, the courses are great and they're always great, but there's a lot of people that just can't watch a video and be able to extrapolate everything and then identify the same thing with their own topics and their situations. Everything's very circumstantial. And a lot more push came to, hey, like, what if you did something a little bit more grand and offered some one-on-one, some group calls or something? So push to shove, I ended up actually building a coaching program, which is what I currently run today. And yeah, very proud to say the transition has been incredible. We've helped over 600 people at this point. We have a coaching program with many different coaches with many coaching calls per week with a really comprehensive course and et cetera, like the whole nine. And it's really built up to this thing I'm super proud of. And again, more or less the infrastructure and the fulfillment I'm very proud of, but moreover is the results and the kind of the testimonies and the life-changing extension of everything. Because I get a lot of fulfillment from the fact that I can build a channel that's successful or help someone. But moreover than that is just like seeing someone who's really struggling and really needs that push or identify something to help them get out of a little bit of debt or add some supplementary income on the side or pay off something. And then they do it. Or better yet, quitting their jobs. Those are crazy. I love that. So yeah, it's just been a really amazing journey because I never anticipated being here at all. I never thought I'd be a coach. I never thought I'd do any of this stuff. I was very like reserved to myself. I just want to make money, my own path, my own problem. And it's just crazy how through business after experience, you just kind of get redirected into different things and things you may not have anticipated. But it's incredible how the universe will shift you. And you always have to be open to those things. And those challenges typically are opportunities. So every time I knew that was an opportunity and it was the challenge, which basically represented, if I pass this, then I'm ready and I'm worthy of the next step. If I fail this, then I stay behind and I don't move forward. And that's just how I kind of viewed everything since day one. And I think got me to where I am and where I know I'll end up later. And it sucks still facing challenges from time to time. But again, I know there's always something better on the other side. And if I fail, I'll never get there. So yeah, that's my mini/long journey. Hopefully that kind of answers the question.
That is an incredible journey. I really love hearing that. It's pretty similar to a lot of other entrepreneurs. They did something early on when they were younger, something materialized, maybe it didn't, but through the obstacles and the failures, those were learning lessons. And somehow the universe demand just creates itself through value, through putting forth your value in the world and just doing it because it's the right thing to do. And it brings other people better lives. But at the end of the day, the supply and demand kind of creates itself. But you were able to pivot and adjust to everything that was thrown your way. Your description of past business adventures sounds like the YouTube feed that I have in the algorithm right now. It's all like the laundromat entrepreneurs, it's the vending machine entrepreneurs, it's everything, literally every single one. For some people, it can be successful. Some people it can't. There's opportunity everywhere, which is really cool. And that's our chance to give it our best shot. Even if we fail 8 times, we're going to succeed on one of those. And then to get to the point where you're at now is even more incredible. What's really cool is for my journey, DJing for 10 years, it started with doing sound for bands. Like it wasn't even DJing, it was sound and lights. And then that turned into something else. And eventually something even better came from that. But we have to kind of take our shot at that. I've been talking for 7 years I should start a YouTube channel, and I finally did a faceless channel back in March of 2024. This is my first chance at like a real faceless channel where I created the SOP. I gave the work to one of my assistants, and we just hit monetization here. It's just to be about confirmed. But this is new for me. I really didn't start looking for things. So when you're working with clients, I suppose I could be a good example. What should I do? What am I working with? Is there any context you need to kind of help or explain a bit more?
In reference to how you should approach the business model?
Yeah. How do you approach your content? Because the channel that I see is your teaching and coaching channel for running YouTube automation. Amazing thumbnails here. I checked out the content. Everything is well produced. But you create other channels that provide either education or entertainment. And those channels kind of bring you your monetization?
Right, absolutely. The answer is very relative to the niche. Each niche has its own nuances and strategy and what to hyper focus on and what to kind of not focus on. So it depends on the style that you're going for. If it's a documentary style, if it's a like very high quality video versus just a more laid back compilation, maybe brain rot style video. So it really depends on the intention of who your audience is and how you're going to, based on how you're actually going to approach that video. But there's some things you always have to focus on. I think I've kind of narrowed down the formula, and it's kind of a lame formula, but it's just what it is. It's quality and quantity over a prolonged period of time. That's the formula. It's really all it is. And so people love to compromise quality for quantity. They just throw spaghetti at the wall. They hope I'm just going to throw 100 videos out there. Something's got to hit. Maybe sometimes it does. Most times it doesn't. I've had someone come to me with 800 videos, not one successful video. And they were like, well, everyone said that if I was just consistent, I'd make it. We all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So it's crazy to me when the crazies come to me and they're like, I did it for so long and it didn't work out. So it's just really that having the right mentality going into literally anything, but specifically this is like, okay, try and figure out what's working and emulate it, but don't half-ass it. And that's the whole point of this. I make sure that everyone who works with me, like we don't half-ass anything. We want to make sure that whatever you're posting, number one, has the highest chance of going viral, of course. But number two, something you're actually proud of, like something you want to watch yourself, number one, and share with your friends and family. The amount of people that create content and they wouldn't even watch it themselves or don't even watch it themselves. And they get mad that millions of people, millions of others won't watch it. It's mental. So that's the main focus, is just learning how to create quality content, is just really go like pulling the curtains and trying to understand on a fundamental level, like why these videos are viral. Like we go really deep into the content creation process from the scripting process. So I have this one exercise that I make my students do, which is, it's called an advanced script framework, where you basically go and you find 5 winning videos, competitors to your niche. And then you basically download their scripts, and then you go and you isolate the body, the intro, the body, and the outro. And then you put them all together. So you have 5 intros, 5 bodies, 5 outros. And then you go ahead and answer a series of questions. Like, how long is the intro? How does the intro start? Does it start with a question, a fact, a statement? How does the intro transition to the body? Like really meticulous details going into the deep nuance of everything. So you understand it. Then from there, you can build your framework, your SOP. Right now, you actually have a roadmap of what it should look like based on success, not based on what you think is good or hopes and dreams, which people like to base their things off of. So that's the kind of level of intricacy and granular level detail that's required to see this thing through correctly. Otherwise, most people just end up spinning their wheels. They'll post 800 videos, they won't see success. Whereas if they just did that level of detail first up front and took the intentional time to understand their niche, their competitors, and what's actually working and build a system, you just need like 5 to 10 videos to see success. Technically, it's really all you need if you do it correctly. So hopefully that kind of breaks down the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you focus on creating more quality content and you put this channel out there, if it just takes the 5 to 10, maybe 20 videos to get noticed, how do we kind of work with the YouTube algorithm? It kind of seems like we're at their mercy, but if we give them something worth showing, will they reward us with that? Or is there some more technical aspect to some of the algorithm optimizing for search engines, things like that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, at their mercy, unfortunately, is kind of the reality. But of course, there's ways to work around that. So the one thing I love to say is, pardon my French, YouTube doesn't owe you shit. They really don't owe you anything. And maybe people have the misconception that I posted videos, so why isn't YouTube showing my videos? It doesn't work like that, right? So everything is based on supply and demand. And so at the forefront of everything is the topic, which is obviously the demand. And you're on the other side with the supply. So if you haven't done your due diligence to really understand what's in demand and also what's not in over demand, because if it's too much demand and too much supply, you're never going to go anywhere too. So you have to find that medium balance of ideally a surplus of demand and not enough supply. That's the sweet spot, of course. So again, it's due diligence, do the research to really identify how much of the topics that you're creating are actually out there, and then combine that with how much demand is there. So you can use tools like Google Trends, and you can go through different keyword research tools. And a really good hack and kind of trick that I teach my students is something called inspiration channels. An inspiration channel is one of the best ways to find viral videos. And an inspiration channel is essentially a channel that has like a really low amount of subscribers, but some videos that have very disproportionate amount of views. So if this channel has 1,000 subscribers, or 5,000, 10,000, but then a video got 500,000 or 3 million views, that's a winning video, because that means there was nothing there. There was no subscribers and following to piggyback those views. It was strictly went viral because of the fact that YouTube deemed it as a quality video that was in demand at that time. And so that's a key strategy that we focus on. Like that's how you find the winning videos. If it's a huge channel and a huge video, that means nothing to me, because that huge channel can post a video of a black screen and still get 100,000 views because they have a huge following. So not a great indicator of success. I've been in this game longer than I like to admit. So you pick up on some things, of course, but there are some factors to accelerate success because you kind of know where to look and where not to look.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to pose a question here, and I feel like this gets asked every year. It's 2025. Is YouTube dead? Is it worth going into YouTube? Is it even worth our while? Is it on the way out?
The whole transition towards online business and making money online and scrapping the 9 to 5 and doing something online, you see it everywhere. It's literally everywhere. So if it's not YouTube automation, it's something else. What I love about YouTube is that it has a completely different mentality and philosophy on how you can make money because we're not setting up, there's no sales calls, right? We're not selling anything. You don't have to run ads. You don't have to learn how to run an ads agency and all these different things. There's no email marketing, there's no campaigns, there's no sales funnels. There's literally nothing to it other than creating content for sheer entertainment or value or educational value. That's a beautiful business model because again, we get compensated for the ads. That whenever there's somebody watches our videos, there's those pesky ads that interrupt. Not so great for the viewer, but for you, the creator, it's amazing because you get paid every time somebody watches the video. And it's an incredible concept on how you can earn money online because they run away from traditional business models justifiably because they're very intricate. There's a lot of moving parts to a business, but this is very different. Not to relinquish the amount of effort that's required here, but it's not a traditional business. You don't have clients. You're not selling anything. There's no point of exchange. It's just entertainment. It's raw content. So yeah, is it dying? No, I think it's at the forefront, especially with AI. AI is a game changer. It's crazy. We're creating incredible videos, quality of videos that no one as a beginner especially could ever even fathom creating because number one, the experience that's required for that and the cost. And so we're doing crazy videos for a fraction of what it would traditionally cost. So again, that opens up a whole new barrier of entry has gone significantly lower for YouTube. And it just opens up a lot of opportunities. We're in an era, basically, this is attention arbitrage, right? The whole goal here is you want to steal attention. And the better you are at stealing attention, the more money you make. And so the skill lies in how much attention can you steal? How good are you at it? How well do you understand human psychology? I guess the art of sales really does go in here because it's to sell these videos. People need to, that's our point of purchase, people buying / watching. And that's kind of it. So I think, yeah, it's a skill set that's in demand. I think it's an ever growing skill set. And realistic, I tell people, if God forbid something ever happened to YouTube, which it's not going to happen, it's the second biggest platform on earth. If something ever happened to it, there's other people begging, as other companies waiting for that downfall to happen to take YouTube's place and replace the exact same business model. The skill sets have remained. Maybe the platform changes. It's definitely not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And this is coming from a guy who has tried almost every option available to him and was making 30K per month recurring revenue with a marketing agency. If this is the more attractive opportunity out of all of those, I think this is a no-brainer for many people and they should definitely consider that. And it may not be this blue ocean of opportunity, but there's definitely opportunity to do anything. But if this is the path of least resistance and it brings value to people and you have a formula, this is a great way to be able to earn money if they're willing to put in that effort as well.
Beautifully said. And I think one other thing to emphasize is that I find people who are most attracted to this, and it's for everybody, but it's really good for introverted people. A lot of introverts want to make money online, want to run a business, but no one really wants to get on client calls and sales calls and business meetings and be front facing and build a brand. That's kind of what's required in most of the traditional business models. Like you want to run an agency, if you want to do this, you probably have to build a brand, right? Nobody wants to do it these days. It's extremely difficult. It's competitive. It's nerve wracking. Who wants to get on camera? I don't even like getting on camera. So the faceless model is so beautiful because, of course, you're delegating everything to other experts, or obviously in some cases using AI, right? So you never actually have to appear on camera. You don't have to gain any of those skills or learn any of the content creation skills yourself because you're leveraging other people's talents. Anyone who's an introvert, like you're looking for something to do online, super cool option.
That is very exciting for a lot of people. With your experience, how are you using some AI in your business? Because it first started to be popular with more ChatGPT, which was more conversational AI. It could write some code, it could make conversation. Now we're seeing sales agents. It can book appointments, it can create videos, it can create songs now. So in what ways can we leverage some AI tools to help our, not just our YouTube channels, but our business as a whole?
Beautiful said. So I've never really been pro AI for YouTube. I've been pro AI since the beginning in general, but for YouTube, it sucks so bad. It was the worst era when I was introduced to YouTube because people were just posting the most garbage videos and it was just causing a lot of havoc on YouTube. And it was really like diminishing the value and like the image of YouTube in general. Now things have changed. AI has elevated their skill, their output so much to the point where you're getting hyper realistic voiceovers, hyper realism in the video generations. And the script writing is just fantastic. It's like I've reviewed thousands of scripts for my students, but the longest time it was always humans. We'd hire human script writers, and only every once in a while I get really excited because I'd find someone who found a really good script writer, and I'd be able to read like this beautiful script. I'm like, man, that was a work of art. I'm so happy I got to read that. It was just fun. It rarely happens. Now with AI, banger after banger, it's just amazing what it's creating. And it's so captivating and it's so skilled. And there's so much emotion, there's pattern drops and cliffhangers, and it's just structured so correct. And it's really nice. This is just when I say the AI, it's not just basic AI. So we've actually gone ahead, we've prompt engineered these AIs, pages upon pages of parameters and code basically to guide it to give us this output. Right. So you can't just go into ChatGPT and ask it for a 10-minute script on an Orca Whale documentary and it's not going to spit out something amazing. It's going to suck. But when you back it up with a lot of prompts and just give it variables and examples of amazing scripts and examples of bad scripts and how long the hook should be and what it should include. And when you give it all that, the output's incredible. Literally, it can be the same prompt, something simple, 10 minutes on this, and you really get something beautiful the first try. So what's been amazing is just the evolution of how we can leverage it and train it. I hired people, some other AI people to just help me and coincide with me to help me build something that really could be so seamless and simple for a beginner. Because beginners are getting into like, I have to use AI and I have to do this. It's so easy. Script is completed, then you just copy and paste into the AI voiceover. Within seconds, you have a professional, human, lifelike voiceover for $15 a month for unlimited scripts, basically. And then you just give that voiceover to a video editor. They will actually create the videos for you. I still recommend using a video editor these days. There is AI video editing tools. They are amazing, but they're just not as user-friendly and functional as they will be maybe 3-6 months down the road. And the last one is AI thumbnails. So we actually trained an AI thumbnail bot as well. So we're creating super realistic, super specific thumbnails with simple prompts. And we've trimmed down the cost of the content creation 70% from before, which is an immense amount of savings. So again, the barrier of entry just continues to go lower and how lucrative it becomes just up and up. So it's very cool.
Absolutely. And I can tell you one thing is that the prompting for your AI is incredibly important. Just as you mentioned, this is really going to train your model to give you a specific output. You continuously train the model when you notice it's not providing the right output, or you yourself think of a new prompt that, oh, I forgot to include this. You simply just retrain that model and then it continues to provide a better output for you. I've seen the AI song generation tools going from kind of sounding a bit robotic and just things quite aren't right. The version 4 now includes, it seems like, left and right audio panning. So I'm hearing the guitar pan in and out, and it has a reverb effect to it, which isn't affecting any other of the AI instruments. Both instrumental and spoken or sung lyrics have gotten incredibly good. And that's just one tool. Like you said, the prompting, the thumbnails, these are tools that can be beneficial. And I would now argue, after 3 to 4 years of AI, I think it can produce a better result than many of the beginners who will get there. Don't half-ass it, just hire an expert to do that. That's kind of what the right business owners and CEOs get to a certain point. That's what they do. They hire the right team. They don't have to learn it all.
Absolutely. And just the last thing to emphasize on that too, AI has gone a long way, but every single day, whatever stage that we're at, you can basically understand, you can know that this is the worst it's ever going to be because it's evolving exponentially, not linearly, right? So it's an incredible thing to know that like month after month, day after day, it's just getting better. And there's all these different competitors coming out. And so you have all this competition, which always drives the market cost down as well. So it's just way more readily accessible for the average population, which brings so much more light and makes opportunities like this way more lucrative because again, barrier of entry is low and just the output is much higher.
Absolutely. I've seen from other YouTubers, ones who became successful, they didn't necessarily choose a topic or a passion of theirs. They just saw a need and a demand for it. So they're not necessarily passionate about what they're doing currently. And I suppose that can happen with any business. You kind of fall out of that excitement for that. And it's different when someone else might be putting the work together for you. Do you enjoy the paychecks coming in? And is it worth the effort that you're putting in versus collecting quarters from the laundromat to refill your dollar machines or taking cash over to ATMs? But it's just an opportunity for all of us. If you could either go back in time or kind of what's the one piece of advice you could give to another entrepreneur who's maybe struggling, needs to get to that over an obstacle or a hump, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, I think one thing just to touch on, because I thought maybe you're directing that in that certain way. I want to answer one thing because it's really important. The passion. Should you chase something that you're passionate about versus doing something that's going to make you the most amount of money? I think that's actually a really good thing to quickly brush on. I think to answer this question, it really depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of personality you have. So if you're kind of more business savvy, aligned with like being an entrepreneur, typically your threshold for what you can bear is a lot higher. So you can kind of do something you're not intrinsically interested in because you just understand that there's going to be pain and resistance and something, learning something you don't really necessarily care about, but the end goal is here and you're willing to fight for it. There's not a lot of people like that. Most people that join this, they need to do something that they find they can maintain that passion and they maintain the motivation in. Otherwise, you hit a wall in any business. And when you hit that wall and you don't have something else to realign you, if you don't have a strong why, if you don't have a North Star and a passion, interest, or general intrigue towards that, you will likely quit. You will likely fail. And so I really think it's important to emphasize if you don't feel like you have that natural inclination to just persevere when times are a little bit tough and there's friction, I would really focus on something you're passionate about because it's just going to give you that end result. Even if it takes longer, you're going to end up being successful versus getting kicked out of the game way too soon because you chose something that was just out of the realm of possibility. You're just in the deep end. So I really want to touch on that because it is a really important part. That's it. Answer the other question. What would I say to anyone? I think you need to welcome failure. We brushed on this on our conversations. You need to welcome failure because you learn so much and there's so much resilience and character that's built in failure. And so there's a mentioned a story a long time ago, and he was saying what happens is you fail one business, and each failure is like a block or a stone that gets built, and you want to get across the river. And so you fail one business, and then the block goes down. You fail the next business, the block goes down. Keep going, block, block. Eventually, the bridge is built, and you finally put that last block, and that's that winning business. And then you look backwards and you're like, holy crap, this is the winning business the whole time. I wasted all my time here, not realizing that all those were actually the building blocks that helped you get across the bridge to reach that level of success that you have now, and so on and so forth. So you need to really understand that each of these things are serving a lesson in your life. You either will learn something, you'll build resilience, etc. And for me, what happened was I told you I did drop shipping, I did Amazon, I did marketing agencies, etc. All these different businesses, they failed. But when I got to my marketing agency, which was my first success, what did I have to do? I had a full stack agency. I had to build ads, run ads, build websites, do copy, advertising, content creation. Those are all things that I did in previous businesses that failed miserably, that seized no results. So seemingly they were useless and it was a failed experience. But when I started my marketing agency, they all came together. And these are all skill sets that helped me build my agency to where it was. So again, something that really just it made no sense at the time, all made sense when they all came together. So just welcome failure and look forward to them, because if something didn't work, it didn't work for a reason. It was not meant for you. So don't be discouraged by something not working out. And last thing is like failure is literally only when you quit. That's the overarching message I always want to say. Only fail when you quit, not when something doesn't go your way. When you stop and you give up, that's failure. That's the only failure that exists. That's my mic drop.
That is very well said. I almost pictured who is that, Randy Newman from South Park, where he's like, I didn't hear no bell. You should be absolutely just beaten so bad.
Yes,
They're like,
man.
I didn't hear no bell.
Yes.
I'm not giving up yet. But each of those
Yes.
failures became that building block to get you across that river. Very well said. And I love Alex Hormozi's value equation. That's the one that I love in terms of how people perceive value, the likeliness that you're willing to achieve or able to achieve it, the timeline that it takes, all that plays into how people perceive value, which is really important in business. You've gone through it. You've experienced it all. Where can people find out more about you, get connected with you online?
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want to reach out to me personally, I think just my socials are the best. I have an Instagram you can find me at. It's Vic, so ITSVICKK, 2Ks. So just reach out to me there. Send me a message if you are at all interested in learning how to set this thing up for yourself or just want to chat. Perfectly fine. You could just reach out to me there and we can hop on a call, see if it's a fit or if it's something you want to do.
Sounds perfect. And we'll have the links available down in the show notes and the description so everyone can get connected with Victor here. So the floor is yours. If you have any parting wisdom you'd like to share with us, or if you just want to share any of your favorite podcasts, books, videos that you have been inspired from. You mentioned Alex Hormozi. Feel free to expand upon that as well.
Yeah. Favorites. There's a lot of favorites. I think for books, my two are Millionaire Fastlane, incredible book, changed my life. Power of Now is a great one because I find myself being super lazy or super distracted at times. And it's just really nice to center focus on one thing. Podcasts, the three that I repeat from or just cycle through is How I Made My First Million. Obviously, Alex Hormozi, The Game. That's just the go-to for everything. And then Modern Wisdom by Chris Williamson. I love everything about that one. If you guys are interested in learning about just business and entrepreneurship and mindset, Modern Wisdom is probably one of my favorite top podcasts.
The fact that you had 5 available to mention and recommend right away shows me that you love learning. You're a lifelong learner. You
That's
can't get enough information, just a sponge
absolutely.
trying to absorb everything you can.
Absolutely. No, I can't. If there's pastime available, it has to be a podcast or some sort of ebook or something. Unfortunately, my one issue is I can't really stick to reading. I love reading, but the act of reading puts me to sleep. I wish I could read, but as soon as I open up a book and I look at it, I'm out. I hate it. It's my kryptonite. I love learning, but it has to be auditorial, unfortunately. But anyways, little bit about me.
Do you find any of that with computer screens at all if you're reading text as well, or is it just the book?
It might be. I never tried a Kindle. I've never picked up a Kindle to use it, but not use it to just sit down in bed alone and try. I think that's my next attempt. That's a really good idea, actually, to try something.
I feel like it's about 65% of us are visual learners. So that plays a role too. I can't blame you for falling asleep when reading a book, even if the information is really exciting and captivating. It just happens. What are you most excited for going into 2025? Do you have anything new that you're trying? Are you doing more of the same that's already working? What are you excited about?
Yeah, to be very boring and almost cheesy, it's like this is the one thing. I've had many distractions in my journey. The golden or so the shiny object. Everybody gets those. It's natural, and I get them too. I'm very guilty of falling into temptations, but I have learned from different mentors and just different people that I'm inspired by. Do the one thing, do it incredibly well, and then when you get to the point where everything is really relaxed and you're at a place where you're very content with, then you can start to branch off. And I think that's also the best way to build wealth as well. There's, I think, a bit of a misconception of get seven income streams to make you a millionaire. I think you can have 7 income streams once you're a millionaire, but not to get to a millionaire. If you want to become a millionaire, try and just do one thing, do it incredibly well, give it your all. You'll reach that million and then branch out from there. But everything else is a distraction. If you just literally YouTube or any other business model can get you to your goals, but just do one thing. That's it. There's no one that has 5 side hustles that's successful. Please bring me someone who's doing that in the beginning stages. Doesn't happen.
So true. Absolutely. Focus on the one thing that's working well for you. Put your time and energy into that, and that's going to yield much better results because
Yeah.
you've already had that foundation built.
Another book is The One Thing. Great book.
That's the one thing. I think I have it behind me as
Such a
well.
good book, yeah.
I love that one. It
Great
really
book,
does.
yeah.
You're like, okay, literally, I just need to focus my mind. I feel like many business owners tend to have brains that are super overactive and, again, kind of the shiny object, but our minds are trying to put together pieces of the business puzzle and marketing puzzle without us even realizing it. Those are the times that we see those opportunities. Our brain sees something. We know the 9 to 5 isn't for us. I feel like entrepreneurs have a very similar story to tell, but it's always very exciting and inspiring to hear about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have a cool position that you're in. You get to kind of vicariously experience everyone's journey in a different way. It's very cool.
It really is. Podcasting is awesome. It's great both for meeting people, networking, connections, great conversation. And I get to showcase what I do, both with content and marketing, talk about what I do. It's a great way to meet and chat with people. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Absolutely. Well, Victor, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for joining us and sharing your wisdom. Maybe we can touch base in a year or two, have you on the show for a part 2 and see how everything's going at that point as well.
It'd be an honor, man. I'd love that. Thank you
That'd
so
be
much for
great.
your time. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Same here, man. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Cheers, bro.
Bye-bye.